Ginsky. Aloha. Thank you. We're ready for your testimony.
Aloha, Chair Paulton, aloha, council members, and mahalo for the opportunity to testify this morning. My name is Lahela Aiwohi, and I am testifying on behalf of the Hawai'i Hotel Alliance. I will start by saying that we do not oppose the fact that there is a need, or rather a demand, for a better solution to manage tourism. HHA does oppose Bill 159 as it is currently written. HHA has submitted written testimony, so I don't have to go over that, which included a proposed revised draft to exclude hotels with conditions. I've heard numerous testifiers testify that hotels are operating way below full occupancy rate. That is absolutely true. To state the facts, from 2015 to 2019, the average daily census of visitors to Maui increased from 56,981 to 66,363. That's from only 2019, which is what we have the census for, which is a 16.5% increase. But yet, our hotels are currently averaging 76% below occupancy. Where then are these visitors staying if not in our hotels? I am Native Hawaiian, born and raised on Maui, and I've seen the growth, and I want to be a part of the solution. But we need to be very careful of the detrimental impacts Bill 159 will have on our economy. I've heard people state that it will not hurt our employees. It will. There's a trickle-down effect. Hotels don't just employ these employees you see on the floor when we all go for staycations or enjoy a good luxury getaway. Hotels' wingspan touches local farmers, local ranchers, local fishermen, local jewelry makers, local made amenities, entertainers, local food vendors, local breweries, local distilleries, and the list will continue the list continues to go on. In fact, just from the RPT alone, it contributes approximately 43% of the county's budget. If Bill 159 passes, we will see the deterioration of our beautiful hotels with its amenities due to the lack of revenue, therefore cutting its budgets, which will then cut the number of employees needed, cut the use and the importance of using local vendors. Please consider the proposed revised draft bill with the amendments that HHA has submitted and to replace with the current language.
Thank you. Members,
Thank you.
questions? Member Sugimura.
Thank you, Lahela. So we do have your testimony, but can you tell us what the amendments are?
And you know what? I just came in here and I'm so sorry. I can grab my phone. I know I sent the amendments out and the summaries, but real quick, just to cap it off. One, we are asking to exclude hotels from the bill. We did agree to some of the conditions, which would include to have our hotels in the business district, that anything above 21 to 50 units, that they be, in order to get approval, they would have to come in front of county council for approval. And then the second condition would also be that timeshares fall into that realm as well. So that's basically the summary of what we're requesting.
One was remove the cap for hotel districts for new units located Malka of the
3.2 yes.
feet erosion hazard line.
Yeah, from the EHL.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay, and those are the amendments.
Thank you for that. But yes, and the EHL is very important, and that's why we did include that 3.2 EHL Malka of that. But of course, Makai, nothing.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Ms. Aiwohi.
Aloha.
For your testimony. So the earlier testifier who spoke to capacity was speaking to the workforce. So you're confirming that the Grand Wailea is operating with half its staff?
So no, I'm not confirming that. I'm just saying the occupancy rate.
Oh, okay.
That was just touching on the occupancy rate.
Because you referenced an earlier testimony.
Right.
And that's what the earlier testimony was
Okay.
talking about.
Mahalo for the clarification.
It was the workforce. So half the workforce and not the amount of jobs, because that's the reason, that hotels and tourism advocate for itself is for jobs. And so if they're not supplying jobs, then what is the benefit?
And I think that's a good point. If I can just answer real quick, I
Sure,
think
go
that's a
ahead.
really good point. Because and I cannot attest to this, but if that is factual, that Grand Wailea is only operating at 50%, and they have not been able to bring 100% of their employees back to work, that would be a prime example of why they haven't been able to bring their employees 100% back to work. Because if they're only operating at 50%, then clearly the revenue is not at 100%. So if they can operate at 100%, then of course you bring back all your employees, because now you have that revenue to go into your budget to compensate.
Okay, so to clarify, you're saying that they are not generating the kind of revenue?
No,
Because
I
I
was
thought
just-
their room rates was a lot higher
No.
and making up for the amount of revenue.
I'm just using that as an example, because if you go 50%, 50%. So I will not even, I shouldn't even say anything about Grand Wailea, because I don't have the numbers from Grand Wailea. So that was just an example of like the 50%. And yes, so the room rates, I do understand the room rates, which we all understand and kind of struggle with that. But I do understand what you're saying about the high room rates.
Right, so the room rates are higher, so they're generating about, the kind of revenue, but they have less staff, so it maximizes more of their profits because they're not paying personnel, but still bringing in the kind of revenue through higher room rate. And so, can you clarify that hotels are not operating at max capacity, occupancy, but would still like to expand?
So, and hopefully I answer this correctly. So as of right now, the hotels are operating at 76% capacity, which is still below the food capacity, clearly, right? And so when you say expand, what exactly?
Increase the number of rooms.
I don't think there's anybody who's talking about increasing the numbers of units.
Okay.
I mean,
I
correct
guess
me if I'm wrong.
I don't understand why you're against the bill if you don't want to increase the number of
Because
rooms.
so the reason why we're against it is because you're saying that we absolutely cannot we cannot do anything if the hotels wanted to. I think there's a better way.
Just to increase the number of rooms. If you wanted to do other things other than increase the number of rooms, that's permitted.
Right. But that's why we're saying this is capping the amount of units. So why then, if you look at the last, like, let's just say maybe the last decade, the amount of units that actually increased, and I believe I did write those numbers down and I didn't add it into my testimony, but I believe it's only a 2.1% of an increase. That's 2.1% overall. If you look at the number of hotel units that we actually have in Maui County, and you look at the amount of all other units.
Not having a discussion. Yeah, this is just question.
Okay.
My apologies, Chair.
But
Mahalo, Ms.
but
Iwahi.
Councilmember, I would love to have a further discussion with you. I would
Sounds
appreciate
good.
that.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Chair.